Hello, everyone. Welcome to our second episode of the Ranger Roundup, filmed right here on campus at Walker's Pub. A big thank you to Walker's Pub for having us, and to the Regis ITS for their assistance on putting on the show. I am your host, David Wilson, the Assistant AD of Communications. Joining me this evening will be members of our Regis Cross Country team, golf programs, and our new Assistant for AD for Sports Performance, Spencer Bowersmith. Our first guest this evening is head cross-country coach John Esquibel, joined by junior Judd Ogle and senior Mikaela Taylor. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, Coach, we're going to get right into it. Tell me a little bit about your fall seasons, how they've gone on the men and women's side of things as we close in on your postseason races.
All right, just a quick wrap-up. We are in our fifth race this week that we just finished. Went out to Riverside, California, University of California at Riverside, where the men and women, out of the 10 runners we had 9 personal bests or personal records, so that was pretty exciting. We opened up in Colorado Springs. We actually ran in Springs 3 times this year, and just trying to get a feel for the season. And like I said, we just finished up with Riverside 2 weeks ago.
You talked about the PRs at Riverside. I mean, in cross country, you want to be building, and peaking towards the end of the year. Do you feel that your teams are at that point right now?
Yeah, I think, getting 9 PRs this year, and we had 25 last year. Some kids had 5 PRs, throughout the season. So that meant within the 7 races, they ran 5 PRs. Some had 3, some had 2. But to come back and redo it, it's always nice when you go down to sea level. The thing about when you run at sea level, we also have the humidity that our kids are not used to, and so that sometimes that has a counter reaction of just like being at altitude. But the performance out there was just unbelievable for us. There was 38 teams there. You had CU there, you had UCLA, you had Arizona. So the competition went all the way, not just from Division I. It went from Division I, Division II, and some of the top junior colleges out there too.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Well, joined by two of your strong runners here. Mikaela, my next question is for you. As you prepare to run in your second RMAC championships and regional meets here in a couple weeks, what are some of the things that you've learned and be able to draw from in your experience in year 2 now?
Yeah, this has been really an interesting time. I came into Regis as a transfer my sophomore year, and of course that was COVID year, so I'm really excited to be running in my second RMAC championship. I think that going into this race, I'm just 100% excited. Honestly, I think I'm really ready to go and just run my best race my senior year, leave it all out on the course, and I think that's really going to be important to finish my season and also my career as a runner strong.
What's maybe a difference between running in a conference meet versus a regular season meet? Is there a change in strategy? Is there a change in how the runners around you react?
There's definitely a change in the level and caliber of the runners that we're running against. All season we run our top 5 best runners at every single race, and we're a small team, so that means that we get the opportunity to go out and push ourselves every single week. However, some of our other competition we're going to see is going to be the actual top runners from, say, Adams State and other powerful programs in our conference. So those runners are definitely going to be at their A game, and they're going to bring their best foot forward. Mm-hmm. And I think as far as strategy goes, we really just want to go out and perform our best every time. We try and leave it all out on the course and shoot for a PR, recognizing sometimes that doesn't happen, especially when you're at 6,000 feet of elevation. But I think it's just a great opportunity to be able to go out and compete each week.
Well, thank you. Judd, turning to you, you've really come on strong the last couple of weeks. Had a PR at UC Riverside, and then paced the team again last week at UCCS. What do you think has been the catalyst in this recent run for you?
Just as a note, it was the 5th fastest time in Regis history, so thank you, Kelly. I appreciate it. But really, just trying to commit myself to the team, and at the end of the day, all I can do is put one foot in front of the other and try to run as fast as I can. There's nothing really different. I'm just having a good year.
Well, thank you. Question for both of you. We've all heard the term the wall in reference to distance running. For both of you, if you can shed some light on what's some of the mental and physical challenges that you have to combat when you're running a 6K, an 8K, a 10K.
I'll take it, sure. Yeah, so we ran the 5K in high school, and you come to college and you run the 8K. And once you hit that 5K mark, you sort of see God in a way, because you realize you got over 2 miles left. So once you hit the wall in an 8K, your mind starts and your thoughts start running a little bit. But really, you just got to push through and understand that the race is almost over, and that when you do hit the wall, it's the most important decision you'll make in a race, and it'll affect your time.
Mikaela?
I think the experience of hitting the wall for me really comes as like a moment where it's just extreme fatigue, and I really have to decide if I'm going to pretend to trip in the woods or not. And I think I always choose not, but I think that it's a moment where you decide how hard you want to push yourself and to what new limits you're going to reach. I for me personally, it's training that inner monologue, that inner voice inside your head to say, no, I can keep going. And I trust in my training, and I'm going to push myself.
Don't trip in the woods, you'll give Coach a heart attack here. So. A question for all three of you. During your time here at Regis, what has been the favorite course you've ran and why?
I can lead off with this question. I think the course at UC Riverside was the best that I've seen. I think it's such a beautiful course. It's completely dirt, and it's all through an agricultural research facility, and I think it's just really cool to see all the interesting vegetation that grows, where, especially when you're at sea level, that running there, your lungs feel amazing, and so you're thinking, just how fast can my legs take me?
Yeah, UC Riverside, it's a great course. You got D1 competition, so you're running with the big dogs. And it's mainly downhill too, so you really can't beat the course at UC Riverside.
What about you, Coach?
For me, I guess with my athletes the last 4 years, from the freshmen that I recruited to the seniors, would probably be Riverside. Some of my favorite is the golf course at Notre Dame and Walt Disney Classic in Florida. That's another favorite course. But anytime we have that opportunity to go down to sea level, no matter what course, that makes it fun. You got a good. When we leave Colorado, the competition changes from 8 teams, 12 teams to 38 teams to 40 teams. So every year, every course is special. When you get PRs, that makes it more special too. So
Yes, sir. Last question for all three of you. With postseason races just around the corner, what are some goals and expectations that you've set for yourself and the coach that you've set for both the men and women's team?
Well, we're always looking when that word championship. The Rocky Mountain Championship is something that's very special to me from my college days, and that's what we prepare for. The word championship means we should be at our peak performance, and that's the exciting part. Our student athletes last Sunday ran after we just competed. We ran 2 races in six days. The competition that we met at both races that came back from the Rocky Mountain Conference, they didn't run in 6 days. There's some of the top runners took that whole week off. Their JV ran at the next meet. Our kids, as being a small team, we had to race back to back just to get our races in. But for me, the championship word is so important, and my goal is, we have a goal to beat Westminster Abbey. That's one of the teams. Highlands, New Mexico on the guys' side is another team that, if we could put it together, it's hard to compete when you have 5 and they're running 9 runners. So if one of their top kids have a bad day, the other one steps up. We don't have that. So I'm so proud of my athletes that, right after we did on Sunday or Saturday, the girls ended up running about 9.5, guys ended up 11.2 miles right after they ran. So we're in our peaking phase, which we're reducing mileage to about 50%. The quality right now, I think I tell my athletes, all the work you did over the summer, the last 3 months, should pay off now, but we need to have fun on this part. So.
Yeah, like Coach was saying, my first run of this season was in the summer, and it came like the second week of May. So really, we want to go down to Durango and take all that time we put in the summer and all the time we put in the season and prove people wrong.
Mikaela?
I think this is a really important championship season for, especially on the women's side. There's 3 seniors running this year, and we just really want to go out there and leave it all out on the course, especially as our last meet of our career. And so I think our goal all season has been to pack together and to run together and just to push each other. We are definitely stronger runners together. We run together every day in practice. And so we just need to translate that into our races and stick together at least for the first 1.5 miles. And then, as girls think, hey, I feel great today, or hey, I think I cannot go this fast for 3 miles, we'll drop back or shift that way. But we've been really working on closing our pack time, reducing our pack time, and I think that's how we're going to get through the championship season. And I'm just so honored and excited for this.
Well, thank you all 3 for joining me. After you run fantastic races down in Durango, make sure you stop by Sirius Texas Barbecue, some good eats down there. Know my way around that town a little bit. So that'll do it for cross country. Our next guest will be our golf program. So thank you again very much, and
Thank
best
you.
of luck the rest of the way.
I want to thank you, Dave. Thank you for everything. Thanks.
Thank you. Welcome back to the Ranger Roundup. Our next guest this evening is head golf coach Peter Pougnet, joined by graduate student Trinity Corwin and junior Ryan Schwaner. Welcome to the 3 of you.
Thank you, David.
Coach, we're going to start off with you. Both teams just wrapped up their fall schedule. You and I have talked a lot since you started about this first semester was really about learning. What are some of the things that you were able to see and learn from both the men and women's teams so far this fall?
Yeah, I think, them learning my coaching style, being a new coach, and then, learning about their games with both teams, how I can help them succeed on and off the golf course, I think has been a big thing for us this fall.
Alrighty. Trinity, you've been rock solid atop the scorecard these past 2 years, earned first team All-RMAC last year. What do you think has been the biggest reason that your game has taken off and been so consistent the last 2 years? And what areas do you think you can even get better? Because I know no golfer is ever satisfied with even their best score.
I think just having it indoor has been super helpful, especially in Denver because it snows so much. So to have a place that's consistent that we can go to has been really helpful for the program. And so we're trying to redo it to make it even better, which I think will elevate everybody on the team and their playing level as well. And I know I definitely need to work on my putting a lot more, which is hard because it snows, so you don't have time to work on your touch. But yeah.
Is anyone ever happy with their putting, coach? There's always room for improvement with putting, right?
Always room for improvement with putting.
I know you've only been able to coach Trinity for the last couple months, but just kind of what luxury is it to have such a consistent, steady player, someone who's always challenging for that top 10, at the top of your scorecard?
Yeah, Trinity's been great, been a great leader on and off the golf course for us. And then just on the golf course, she's been pretty consistent in terms of what scores we expect when we're out there playing. Obviously, we're trying to work on, a couple things like she mentioned, putting, to be ready for the spring.
Ryan had a breakout sophomore year last year. You're coming off of a career best finish this past week in El Paso. What has been the catalyst for your game, you think, this year?
So far for me, I think it's just been plotting my way, around the course, talking to the coach before, having a game plan going in, maybe not hitting the same club other people are hitting, and just playing my game and really trusting that and doing that throughout the day of 36 holes and 18 the next day.
Coach, and you and I have talked about Ryan one-on-one about not only has his quality of play gotten better here as a junior, but his taken ownership and some leadership as well. What have you seen from Ryan on the men's side?
Yeah, like Ryan talked about, Ryan's done a great job, kind of staying with what he does best, and that's kind of led to some success. And just kind of, show strategy and talk about that, like he mentioned. But Ryan's done a great job, and along with Trinity, leading the teams and kind of trying to create this, move this program forward, and that's what we're all trying to do. And I think we've kind of shown that this fall.
Alrighty. Ryan, when you set this career best down in El Paso, Justin Kolb, your teammate, did the same thing, had a top 10 finish himself. Were you guys pushing each other? How much do you guys communicate during a tournament like that when you both know you're playing well and trying to push each other?
Yeah, I mean, me and JT play against each other almost every day. We like to push each other no matter what we're doing, putting game, on the course, whatever. And once we're in that tournament, it's not as much pushing each other, it's more rooting for each other type of thing. So we both came in after the first day in the rain and the wind, and we were pretty proud of each other to stick through that. And we both just were like, hey, just go give it your best the next day. And, obviously we want to beat each other, but at the same time, I was pretty proud of him shooting one under the second day too. So. Absolutely.
Golf is a really unique college sport in the sense that your guys' season is split up over 2 semesters with a 3 to 4 month break. How do you two spend that time to try and keep your game sharp as much as possible during the winter months?
Like Trinity said, going to indoor, just working on the swing, working on taking swing videos. A lot of the guys have separate swing coaches back home that help with stuff too. And it's just getting on the course as much as you can, layering up and just going out there and just making sure that you're ready come February to get back after it.
Yeah, I think goal setting is also super important and something we're trying to work a lot more on to see where we were in the fall and where we want to be in the spring, and what do we need to do to work on that to figure out how to be better, execute.
Are you guys the couple crazies that people see on the golf course in middle of December in shorts? What are these people doing out there?
Yeah. I don't know about the
snowshoes
shorts.
every now and then. Yeah.
All right, I got a rapid fire questions for a couple of you, for all 3 of you actually. Favorite course you've ever played at and why?
In college that we played at?
It could be back home too, just the favorite course you've ever played and why?
Probably Corca Park in California. We played there last year. I know it's ranked top 10 public courses, and it was just in great condition. We got to play it 3 days, basically no wind, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, probably Medina course 2 back home in Chicago. That was a lot of fun to play. The sand is really nice there, so.
Is that gonna be yours too from your Chicago ties?
No, my favorite course is Pioneers number 2, just because I had my best round there. And it's a historically great golf course.
It's hard to argue with that one. All right, again for all 3 of you, favorite club in your bag? What's old reliable that you?
Probably a 2-iron. Use that, get off the tee, get in the fairway, make sure not making any big numbers.
7-iron all day, every day.
Probably my sand wedge. Because I get up and down from everywhere.
See, I have a love-hate relationship with my sand wedge, love my 9-iron, and then really just a hate relationship with every other club in my bag. So, again, for all 3 of you, tip for your average weekend golfer, I'm sure as college golfers, as a college golf coach, I already know I hit up Peter for advice all the time. What's one piece of advice you'd give to the poor soul like me that's shooting 90, 95 every weekend?
Keep it in play off the tee.
Yep.
Learn how to read a green.
Whoa.
That felt personal, Coach. I need help learning how to read a green. Yeah.
Probably, like Ryan said, keeping it in play, that helps, but also just thinking your way around the golf course, going to wider areas, not short-sighting yourself, just being a little bit smarter on the golf course.
Drink cart, no drink cart for the Saturday golfer?
Probably drink cart if you're trying to have a good time.
That's right.
Probably no drink cart if you're trying to get better and, play college golf, but...
That's fair. Final question for all 3 of you. What are some goals and expectations that you've set for yourself, as we head into the spring semester, the RMAC championship portion of the schedule? And then, Coach, goals and expectations that you've set for the men and women's team?
I think goal for me is just putting together some good rounds and staying consistent, finishing out good rounds so I get a good start in. And even the rounds I'm not hitting it the best, making sure I'm just grinding it out, trying to make pars for my team and for myself too.
I think for myself, averaging 75 in the spring, and then I think for my team, top 3 finish in conference.
She's not that far off. She's averaging 77, isn't she, Coach?
Yeah, she is. Probably for, obviously 2 separate teams, but for both teams combined, I would say definitely just continue to try to get better. That's kind of the biggest thing. It's kind of an everyday thing that we talk about, and really, talk about Ryan and JT pushing each other, just everyone pushing each other to be better, so we can come out in the spring and really be ready to compete and surprise some people.
Well, I want to thank you all three for joining me this on the Ranger Roundup. We'll be back with our final segment with our newest administrator, Spencer Bowersmith. Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back to our final segment of the Ranger Roundup, where we'll be speaking with our newest member of the admin staff, Spencer Bowersmith, and welcome.
Thanks, Dave.
It's fitting that your segment is after golf. I get to interview my father, Shelton teammate. I believe we shot a gentleman's 2 over par as a 2-man scramble. I got a lot of people not believing I could shoot in the 90s in this room. I won't mention names, but
It's true. We're good.
we are good, yeah. Peter, check if we have any eligibility left. So first off, congratulations on the promotion. For parents and fans at home, maybe give us a quick rundown of what was your path that led you here to Regis.
Yeah, sure. First and foremost, I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. I started as an athlete, obviously, and it wasn't really until I graduated from my undergrad that I was trying to figure out exactly what I really wanted to do. And that's when I came across strength and conditioning, and really, from there, it really was a fast path. I jumped right back into just doing some internships first, and then I was lucky enough to get on with the University of California with their football team, and that was really like where I really got immersed in strength and conditioning and really learning like the strength and conditioning theory and stuff like that. And that's really where my love for helping our athletes really started. From there, I went on to San Jose State. I went back to school to get my master's degree. I was a graduate assistant there, and then after that, I earned a part-time position at Santa Clara University, and then from there, I actually got promoted there, and I became their assistant director of sports performance. And then after that, my wife and I decided to relocate here to Colorado. We were really just looking for a change, and that's when Regis really came along, and we just completed my first year here, and so far it's been amazing. Really love it. I'm looking forward to staying here for a long time.
Well, we're glad to have you. Since your arrival prior to the 2021-22 school year, what are some things that you've implemented from a strength and conditioning standpoint, and what are some of the ideas and visions you have for your future in this role?
That's a good question. I would say the first thing that I really wanted to do when I got here was really establish what our culture is. I wanted us to be a university that really valued strength and conditioning and even athletic training to the same extent. I really want us to value what both of our departments can really bring to the table. And I think the number one way to do that for us was really to get all the coaches on board. Before I got here, I think I believe from what students have told me, we were kind of going back and forth between a bunch of different strength coaches like year in and year out. And when you do that, it makes it really hard to really get anything going long term. At the end of the day, these student athletes are here for 4 or 5 years, and if we are constantly switching coaches up every year or two, then it's really hard to really track and see people progress over the course of their career. So I think stability is a really big component, and I think that's really what I wanted to do, was bring some stability to our department. As far as my vision for the future, I think I want to continue to grow our department, and what that means really is expanding our staffing. Right now it's myself and my 2 GAs, and we're doing a fantastic job, but what we can do is expand our coaching staff so that we can really dive in deeper and do more with each individual team.
All righty. In our talks one-on-one, you've been very complimentary of the kind of people and student athletes that Regis brings in. What makes Regis student athletes unique in your opinion?
First and foremost, I think that I have been very fortunate in my coaching career. I've been a lot of different places, different levels, high school, private sector, college, even some professional level, and I've had nothing but really great athletes. But one thing that I think Regis athletes really bring to the table is their intellect. I think they are all very inquisitive, and they really want to know the why. Why are we doing X? Why are we doing Y? Why are we doing Z? And I think when an athlete really dives into trying to understand what they're doing and why it benefits them from a performance standpoint, I think then as a coach, you can really start to do a lot more with that athlete, because the buy-in really just allows you to have unlimited potential for growth.
You've mentioned your 2 GAs. Tell me a little bit about your team with Ryan and Joe and some of the areas that you guys have really focused on of student athletes this year, And what are some examples of how you measure and track results and gains?
It's a great question. First and foremost, yeah, like you said, my staff, Ryan McDaniel and Joe Tillman, I think between the three of us, I think that we all come from different backgrounds. Whether it's the levels that we were coaching at, or the level that we played, or the sport that we played, I think that we all bring a very diverse thing to our department. So, for example, I think one thing that I really love and strive for is continuing education, like continuing to learn and get better so that we can not only be better for ourselves, but be better for our student athletes. And when we have a diverse group of coaches on staff, that only allows us to continually learn from each other. As far as what we're trying to focus on really now, I would say year one really was about the culture, really just trying to create the idea and put it in the idea in the mind of the athlete that this is something that we do. We train regularly throughout the year. It's not just an off-season thing. It's an in-season, it's a post-season, it's an out-of-season thing. So I think for us, the next component really is trying to not just focus on the strength and the speed and the power, but also taking care of yourself. So one thing I'm really trying to push our athletes to do is spend a little bit more time taking care of their bodies, doing the extra TLC that everyone really truly needs, especially as a competitive athlete.
The best, what's the phrase, the best trait is availability?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, you could be the best athlete in the world, but if you're hurt and you can't be out there, you're really no good use to your coaches and your teammates.
You know, last question for you. What are maybe some misconceptions about strength training, or something you'd advise a younger student athlete, maybe the middle school, high school level, that is just now getting into strength training?
That's also a really good question. I would say the number one, question or concern I get from almost every athlete, especially a freshman, is they're always worried that our job is to make them like these huge, big, muscly athletes. And I think that is a huge misconception, because there is different levels to strength training. I mean, there's powerlifting, there is, CrossFit is another one. There's strength and conditioning. So I think trying to explain to them that, hey, maybe as a power lifter, yeah, your number one goal is to get as strong as possible and as big as possible. But here, as our number one goal being sports performance, make sure that they can perform on the field or on the court or whatever it may be, I think we just need to know what makes the best possible athlete for this specific sport, and kind of diving into the research and the science of each individual sport and figuring out what works for them and making sure that we're just maximizing those specific attributes.
Well, thank you. We'll meet one-on-one so you can develop a plan, strength plan for sports information. All right?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Thank you to Spencer. Thank you to our guests from cross country and golf for joining us. And thank you to Walker's Pub and Regis ITS for their help with putting on this show. We'll see you next month when we talk some hoops of basketball. Thank you.
Thanks.